Being Chinese Canadian comes with numerous struggles that are not always visible to the public eye. At first glance, people only see the benefits that are tied to being Asian. However, that's far from the truth.
We are here to speak up about our constant endeavors to fit in, to be normal, to be us freely, and what our future may look like. Today, we have gathered 6 Chinese Canadian interviewees and asked them questions regarding their hyphenated identities to allow others to understand their daily experiences furthermore.
As a second-generation immigrant, have you ever had concerns about the experiences your parents would encounter when you're not around?
There have been many concerns I've had for my parents whenever I'm not around. My parents have a really hard time getting used to technology. They can work the basics like calling people and texting, but not much more beyond that. And another issue I'm concerned with is things dealing with the government. My parents can't really understand many document papers because of the complicated English. Ever since I could read, I've been translating it for them. After I move out, I get really worried about how they're going to understand these important papers.
Have you ever felt the need to behave or present yourself differently, as in assimilating to Western culture in fear of not being accepted?
Yes, I have. I feel that in the eyes of Western culture that sometimes I'm too Asian. For the longest time, I thought it was just part of the process of growing up and maturing. I didn't understand what my parents meant when they talked about discrimination or about experiencing discrimination. When I was younger, all the time, when eating out as a family in Western restaurants and thinking to myself that my parents or I should stop speaking in Mandarin because I'm thinking that we're too loud, that we're too impolite. And since we're in Canada, we should try to speak English more often.
What, in your opinion, is the most significant barrier between your Canadian identity and Chinese identity?
The most significant barrier between my Canadian and Chinese identity would be language. Being born in Canada and never having to attend Chinese classes has really put me at a disadvantage because I can't communicate as well as I would like to with my parents and other relatives. I hope I'm able to maintain my fluency in Cantonese so that I can pass on a sufficient amount to my kids if I ever have any in the future. Communication and language is the key to any culture in my opinion, so this is something that I am determined to work on.
Do you want to instill these traditions and heritage into your children?
I feel as though erasing a whole part of my identity feels disgraceful to my parents. They sacrificed everything in order to give me a life here in Canada. Removing my Chinese traditions and heritage feels like the equivalent of removing my parents from my children's life. I want to honor my parents and the heritage they're so proud of. I want them to know that I am not and will never be ashamed of my heritage. I want my children to experience every benefit that comes with being Chinese, the experience, food, culture, and the traditions as a whole. And to do that, they need to come to terms with our identity as a whole, a hyphenated identity. There is nothing to erase, since that would mean I am ashamed of who my parents made me.
As a son of first-generation immigrants, what challenges do you face with your parents?
As a son of first-generation immigrants, I faced many challenges when speaking, relating to, and understanding my parents. I feel as if these challenges that I face are a direct result of me being born in Canada and my parents being born abroad. Since our upbringings are completely different, I feel like it's difficult to relate and understand why my parents have certain perspectives on values, issues, religion, and many more topics which I don't agree with. This causes conflict in my family, and I feel like I always struggle to understand the point of their argument, and I get upset, even though I know that I should be listening to what they have to say. There's also a huge language barrier as my parents speak both Mandarin and Cantonese but don't speak English, whereas I'm the complete opposite. I can speak English, but I'm really bad at Cantonese. This makes it hard for me to communicate with my parents. Also, when my parents speak Cantonese to me, I only understand a small portion of what they're saying, which sometimes causes them to be frustrated.
Has there been any progress within media representation regarding the intersectionality of your identities?
Yes, most definitely. I think there's actually been a lot of progress made, especially within the last few years. I was lucky enough to grow up in a generation where I had free access to the internet, YouTube to be more specific. Even though it wasn't often I saw people like me walking the red carpets in Hollywood, I was still able to look up to a number of East Asian creators on the YouTube platform like Lord DIY, Ryan Higa, and Wong Fu Productions. Within the last few years, we were able to see that there's very specific East Asian Canadian representation in Hollywood as well. This gives us hope for the generation after us to embrace their overlapping identities and gives them an idol to look up to in the future.